Actually, we're not making ice cream. We're going to take ice cream and turn it into a wonderful ice cream dessert. My dad, and I've made his recipe on the show before, he was known for making homemade ice cream every summer. And years ago, when my grandmother passed away, I actually found his old electric ice cream maker. And it was actually, it's an electric, but it had to be one of like the first ones on the market, because I'll bring it in another time if you missed that show. But he was known for his fabulous vanilla ice cream. And tucked inside the box where the ice cream maker was his handwritten on just a kind of a crinkled up piece of legal paper, his famous recipe for vanilla ice cream, and it actually had a vanilla stain right on it. So vanilla ice cream is near and dear to my heart. This recipe we're making, however, uses another ice cream that is near and dear to my heart, and that is coffee ice cream. If you watch the show, you know I am addicted to coffee. I could not start the day without it. So coffee ice cream, I mean, come on, it's delicious. We're going to take coffee ice cream and turn it into a Mississippi mud pie. So it combines chocolate and coffee and all sorts of yumminess. You can totally make this a few days ahead of your get-together, which I love. In fact, you need to make it a little bit ahead so it sets up. So the recipe starts with a wonderful homemade chocolate sauce that's super easy to throw together. We're going to take some butter, some semi-sweet chocolate chips, 2 tablespoons of corn syrup, and I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. 1, 2. 1/4 cup of heavy cream. And I'm just going to very carefully watch that, keep an eye on it, melt it over low heat. It's not going to take long at all, and we're going to get back to this guy in a little bit. Now, these are optional on this, but I happen to love nuts of any sort. And so we're going to decorate the top of the pie when it's all done with some pecans. A lot of mud pie, Mississippi mud pie recipes have pecans in them. It's a very, Mississippi mud pie is a southern ice cream dessert, which I happen to love. So we're going to take some pecans and just toast them up. And I get questions all the time. Why do you toast nuts and how do you toast them? Well, there's a couple different ways that you can toast nuts. You can do them on a dry cookie sheet in the oven. The danger of that is when they're in the oven, I tend to get busy and be on my computer or take a phone call or do laundry, and then the next thing I know, Mom burned the nuts again. Problem with that is try and get that burnt nuts smell out of the house. It is not easy. Open the windows, put on the fan, and get those nuts out of the house. You need to throw them away outside because it stinks to high heaven. So the way I like to do it is I just toast them up in a dry skillet very carefully over low heat, kind of do like this with the pan every once in a while, and pull them off the heat before they're, they turn too dark of a color, because they'll continue to toast up in the pan. Think cookies, when you pull them out of the oven, they continue to cook on the cookie sheet. Same idea here, but in seconds they can go from toasted to burnt. Why do you do it? So I've told you how you do it, and sometimes I'll add some butter or olive oil in there, depending on the recipe. These I'm just going to toast straight up. Why you do it is because it brings them back to life and just brings out the flavors, releases the oils, and they just taste way better. It's optional. You don't even need to use the nuts. You don't need to toast the nuts. But if you do toast the nuts, it just makes it that much better. Okay, so my chocolate chips and my corn syrup, and I'm going to add my butter and my powdered sugar are hanging out here. We're going to make, this is like a homemade fudge sauce, chocolate fudge sauce. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. Just let it cook for a little bit, and then once it starts to, actually we're there. I'm going to kind of pull it off the heat.
What about powdered sugar?
I added the powdered sugar, and I'll add a little bit more. This is the most, you can certainly buy like a hot fudge sauce if you wanted to skip this step and make it a little easier, but man, is this good. This is so good. And you don't have to, the nice thing about it is I always have chocolate chips on hand. I've got some powdered sugar, I've got some corn syrup that needs using, so it's a great way to just kind of use what you've got in your pantry. So we'll give it a minute or two more, just to get that powdered sugar really nice and combined, and then we'll pull it off the heat and add some vanilla. So Ann, Nut Patrol and Fudge Patrol. Okay, now we're going to get to work on our crust. This uses an Oreo cookie crust, and I'm going to melt some butter. We do want to bake that crust just for about 5 minutes or so. The recipe calls for 25 Oreo cookies. I'm sure if you had 22 or 26, it'd all be okay. And no, you don't need to. People always ask me, do you need to unscrew them? And then, no, you don't. And get rid of the vanilla, the center. Absolutely. That actually is going to, you don't have to do that at all. And I don't think it'd be so good if if you did the whole eating of the vanilla inside. You don't need to do that. So no worries about that. Just throw them all right in there in a Ziploc bag and get the kids to help pound, pound, pound. Or if you want to really do this crust in a hurry, do it in the old food processor. Perfect. Okay. In the summer, when the kids are home, I love getting them in the kitchen to help with this. So that's what, kids love, banging things and having fun, especially if they're given permission to do it. So you just take these cookies and put them in a Ziploc bag and give them a rolling pin or a meat mallet and have them, go at it. You could also, you want to really take a shortcut, you can buy, the chocolate cookie crust already pre-done. I just think these taste so much better to do it yourself, though. So if you've got the time, why not? Yep, I'm going to add the butter. Don't worry, Ann. So we're going to add our melted butter. Use a fork or a spoon to just kind of mix it around in there. And I never even, did I say hi to you yet today? I was so excited about all the ice cream going on in the show. What's your favorite flavor of ice cream? Ann says mint chocolate chip. I do like a mint chocolate chip. I do. I like it when it's not green. There's a certain brand that does it, and it's yummy. Ann likes the green. Okay, Abby, my producer, what's your favorite kind of ice cream? We're going to go around the house here. Ann gave me a great tip. She said use the back of a measuring cup to really kind of pack that down there. Abby says she likes s'mores ice cream. That I have not had, but I don't see how it could not be good with all the stuff from s'mores in there. Greg, my director, what's your favorite kind of ice cream? Orange sherbet, sherbet kind of guy. I am in love with, there's a new salted caramel gelato that is dangerous. It's so good. It is so, so good, but I also am a big fan of coffee ice cream. So, and of course my dad's vanilla. I mean, come on, there's nothing better than that. Okay, so this is cooked. I'm going to pull it off the heat to let it cool for just a little bit, and I want to get this in the oven and let it bake about 5 to 7 minutes. You just want it to bake for just a teeny bit, and the reason that you want to do that is because the crust will kind of come together. But because they're Oreos, you can't really tell. They're dark anyway, so you don't want to overbake it at all. So just about 5 minutes or so. Okay, now to our coffee ice cream. I'm just going to take this, and there's usually a film on the top of it, so we remove that. If you can think about it, pull this out of the freezer for, a good hour, half hour. Oh, thank you. Thank you on the nuts. Ooh, we overdid a couple of them, but I think they're okay. I think we found some that are keepers in there. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to take this and just pop it in the microwave for just a little bit so it's a little bit easier to work with. This is my coffee ice cream. And now we'll start putting this whole pie together. I'm going to add some vanilla to this, and you add the vanilla after you've taken it off of the heat. Just a little bit will do ya. A teaspoon or so. And at home, I want you to let this cool for about 5 minutes or so it doesn't melt the ice cream. And I just want to take a bath into this right now because it looks so yummy. All right, so, and also I want you to let this crust bake a little bit longer than, obviously, that I put it in, but because of the TV thing, we need to get this rolling. Okay, so out comes our pie crust after it's baked for 5 to 7 minutes. Our ice cream is softening up. Yep, perfect. Ooh, softened up a little bit too much, but it will refreeze. So don't worry, if it gets a little soft on you, it'll freeze right back up perfectly. So we're going to take about half of this fudge sauce and I know. Ann said, "Oh, mama." And I said, "Yeah, I hear you." And very gently, because we don't want to get a bunch of crumbs in here, and that's why you bake that crust, just kind of move that around. And that's going to be the yumminess on the bottom. Then we're going to take our ice cream that we've softened and best to let it thaw on the countertop. The microwave just doesn't do such a great job. We didn't pull it out quite soon enough. But it's going to melt much more evenly if you just pull it out on the counter. So let that be a tip for you. Oh my goodness, and it takes 1 pint of coffee ice cream. You could do 2 if you wanted a little extra ice cream. So at this point, you want to get that around, push it around, and then cover it with plastic wrap and get it into your freezer. Okay, so we did this, and this is something you want to do for at least a few hours, better yet overnight or even a few days before. You could certainly, if you're having people over for an ice cream social, or you just wanted to make this for dessert at the end of your cookout, you can get this done, I would say, at least 5 days ahead if you cover it real well. So you can see that beautiful crust, and then we've got our wonderful coffee ice cream, and there's a layer of the chocolate that is underneath. Now, if you're making this ahead of time, which you're going to be doing, you're going to take this reserve fudge sauce and also put this in a separate corner, or container, I should say, and basically you're going to you let that refrigerate. So when you pull it out, it's going to harden on you, so you want to heat it, just heat it very gently in the microwave. So at this point, we've got another layer of fudge that's going to go on the top. And then get it back in there to refreeze again. And that shouldn't take too long on you. That should just take a half hour or so. You just want it so it's kind of workable. And now we decorate it. So we've got some, and this is right before serving. We've got some whipped cream, just from the spray can, or you could spread some fresh whipped cream on there. And you could do certainly like a chocolate drizzle with some chocolate sauce. And here's where our toasted pecans come in. So we're just going to take some of these wonderful pecans that we've toasted right up. And you'll have them a little cooler than mine are. And there you go, Mississippi mud pie. If you're making this ahead, one of the things you want to do is pull it out of the freezer just a little bit before serving, and that's going to make it so much easier to slice. So I'm going to continue to decorate. Oop, that pecan's going to be sliding out there, and we'll put the recipe for this on our website. So stay with us. We'll be right back.